And now, live in studio, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. He's a successful entrepreneur, published author, top listing agent, a real estate and finance expert that goes to bat for you every day as a consumer advocate. Your host and the consumer quarterback, Brandon Rhymes.
Yes, here we are again, another day committed to helping you win in any marketplace. Brandon Rhymes, your host of the Consumer Quarterback Show, powered by Platinum MVP Team at Keller Williams Realty. And we want to help you win in any marketplace. The goal of this show is to educate, entertain, enlighten, but most importantly, we love it when you engage with us because then we can help you win.
The only thing I'm addicted to right now is winning.
Got a lot of calls coming in, people reaching out to our hotline, 813-670-7372.
You used to call me on my cell phone.
813-670-7372. Call or text that line. That's our off-air line, by the way. You can call or text that line. Any comments, questions you have from the show. Also, bookmark our website, consumerqb.com. A plethora of information available for you on our website at consumerqb.com. Now, on the site, you can see links to all of our expert contributors, all of our attorneys, financial advice, real estate, mortgage, solar companies, all types of niche businesses that are going to help you understand more about those buying decisions out there, help you avoid a lot of the commission-based advice that's so prevalent in our community. And this segment is brought to you by Brothers Easy Moving, the official moving partner of the Consumer Quarterback Show. Brothers Easy Moving, and they do a great job with a lot of our real estate moves and also firsthand experience. I can tell you from Brothers Easy Moving, they do a great job in Tampa Bay or long distance. So local move or a long distance move, reach out to Brothers Easy Moving. They are a first class organization and they do a wonderful job. I can tell you from firsthand experience. In studio today, attorney Richard Alexander. Welcome back in, sir. Alexander Law.
Thank you, Brandon. I appreciate it, man. It's always an honor and a privilege. Best time of the month for me, man.
Yeah, I love it, man. I love it. I love the consumer advocate approach, the things that you're bringing. You do a lot of great posts on your social media as well, doing a real good job out there.
Actually, I just want to be half as good as you, man.
Yeah.
You have a strong social media presence.
Thank you.
So yep. I know it's important, and I just want to be half of what you're doing.
Okay. Yeah. Well, yeah, we can help each other, especially with the show content. That's part of the thing we do is we take the content, we repurpose that content out there, and we want to be that consumer advocate. I think that's what makes us different from a lot of the other shows out there.
Right, I agree.
Yeah, being that consumer advocate. We got William Crowley on the phones, the credit man, the credit magician. Welcome to the show via the phone.
Hey, can you hear me okay?
We got you, man.
All right.
Yes,
sir.
It's
good to be back. It's good to be back in the house. Going to share some good knowledge about how to keep your credit clean so you won't become the deadbeat that some people are. Yahoo!
Yeah. All right, good stuff. So hang on, hold that thought for 1 second for me. Let me just reach out for a couple of real estate properties here. As you know, I'm the owner of Platinum MVP Team, Keller Williams Realty, right here in Tampa Bay. Got a hot listing. This is a great investment opportunity. 2614 St. John's Avenue, right here in Tampa. St. John's in Tampa, 2614 St. John's Street, that is. This is an attractive and updated 3-bedroom, 1-bath home in West Tampa. It's mature landscaping, beautiful property, great investment opportunity for a renter or an investor to rent out, or potentially a nice family home. This is a great opportunity here in Tampa Bay, the heart of West Tampa. Great opportunity. Also, one of my favorite listings in Odessa right now is 12610 Port Marnock. This is a gorgeous home, large home, and it's Port Marnock Drive in Odessa. Now, this is in the gated community of the Turnberry at the Eagles. And the property has just a beautiful water view in the back, a golf course view, also water views up front, gorgeous flooring on the inside, great layout, and just another one of our hot real estate properties. Check out PlatinumMVPTeam.com for all of our real estate listings at PlatinumMVPTeam.com. All right, so let's jump right into our consumer advocate content. We got William Crowley on the phone, the credit magician, the credit man. Now, William, a lot of times people don't understand their credit. They make a lot of assumptions out there. There's a lot of misleading information in the media. What would you say is the number one factor that you're dealing with most of the time when you're counseling people on their credit?
is the whole concept, the whole misconception of what they call credit repair. I like to call myself credit restoration assistance. But most people, both the consumer and the lenders, are totally confused about credit repair or credit restoration. I hate to use that word credit repair, but I'll go ahead and do it since everybody's more familiar with that phrase. Everybody thinks it's unethical, immoral, illegal, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And it's not, okay? The consumer laws, which are not taught in the school systems or even in college to that degree, of what a consumer's rights are. Both the lender and the consumer need to be familiar with that, because there's a lot of business being lost out there because of misconceptions around people's credit report. Just because a person has bad credit doesn't mean they're a bad person.
Right.
Things happen. There's numerous reasons why. So when a client comes to me, I tell them, you don't have to give me none of the stories as to how it got like that. Let's just deal with it from the perspective of the consumer laws, which is the Fair Credit Reporting Act. There's a combination of the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act and aspects of the Uniform Commercial Code. These laws we have to be familiar with them, because the credit reporting agencies are running amok. They're damaging people's credit reports, and I don't necessarily want to say intentionally, but they've already admitted that the workload is overwhelming.
Yeah.
They don't have the manpower or the woman power to sustain that workload. In other words, what I mean is, every time the credit reporting agency receives information, they have to verify this information with the consumer, because they're receiving the information from the lender. They have to verify with the consumer if they're going to sell this information or give it out to the realtors, the mortgage brokers, the banks, or anybody where you're applying for credit, because that's supposed to be factual information, and it's not factual information. We know the information is true between the consumer and the lender. The problem is that once the credit reporting agency receives it, if they don't properly verify this information with the consumer, they can't distribute this information as factual information. So it's holding a lot of people back from their livelihood. You know, buying a home, getting great interest rates on credit cards, buying a car, getting, insurance rates, anything that you could think of in the consumer industry. A lot of people being charged higher fees, higher interest rates, and they really shouldn't be, because the credit reporting agencies are not following the law. So the burden of proof has to be on the consumer. The consumer has to say, listen, this information on my credit report, yes, I did do it, but I have not been properly, it hasn't been properly verified through the credit agency. So therefore, I'm going to dispute this information using the Fair Credit Reporting Act, and I'm going to challenge the credit reporting agency on due process. Now, once you start this process, folks, you're going to see some miraculous things happen. You're going to see these true-to-be pieces of information is going to be removed off the credit report, because we're going after the credit reporting agency. We're not going after the lenders. We know the information is true with the lenders. The credit reporting agencies are putting this information on, and if you don't dispute it, like TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian have said in the past, then that's grounds for it to be removed once the consumer challenges it. If the consumer doesn't challenge it using the Fair Credit Reporting Act, then it's going to stay on there, and it's going to limit your ability or your livelihood in the financial industry. So the biggest misconception is, just because you have bad credit doesn't mean you have to have bad credit. You can legally challenge this stuff and have your credit improved literally overnight by implementing some of the tools of the Fair Credit Reporting Act. And so my thing is going around the country, empowering people with the knowledge of the consumer laws, so we can eradicate this whole misconception that credit repair is immoral, unethical, unreasonable, or whatever you want to label it. And say, listen, we have rights. Let's use these rights, and let's improve our lives by, using some of these consumer laws.
So what should a client do? Yeah, it makes a lot of sense, William, when you look at that, when you think about the way you wrote that out, or you worded that. It's up to the consumer to take action. It's up to the consumer to, claim their rights and make their rights known by, addressing it directly with the credit bureaus. Let's talk about your credit package. When we offer a credit package, we get a lot of people reaching out, calling in, texting or reaching out to the show for your credit package. Before we do that, let's explain what it is, and then we'll offer it out to the first 3 or 4 listeners that text in.
Okay, great. Yeah, and we're going to we do a free consultation, in other words, and we're going to go over all of this stuff I just mentioned. Then we're going to encourage you to put a promotional block on your credit report, okay? We're going to give you the number. I can even get it out over the air ahead of time, but it'll be part of the package as well. The promotional block, that prevents you from becoming what they call a victim of identity theft. It lessens your visibility with the credit reporting agencies because the credit reporting agencies are no longer able to sell your information because you're taken off that list. I encourage everybody to take advantage of that promotional block as part of the promotional package that we're putting out. Everybody should put a promotional block on their credit report, whether your credit is good or bad. Make sure you have a promotional block on it. It's a free service that the credit reporting agencies give out, but they don't advertise this because they need to have your name on there so they can sell your information. So get off of that list. That's the first step. Then we're going to show you the Fair Credit Reporting Act, the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, and certain aspects of the Uniform Commercial Code. We're also going to tell you a little bit about how to do a validation of debt letter to collectors and the cease and desist. These are tools that most credit repair companies aren't familiar with, or they charge you an arm and a leg to take part in that service.
Right.
But the validation of debt letters are I don't want to say simple letters, but they're legal letters that you want to use in addressing a collection. I always say on this show, never ever pay a collection or a collector, but never ever ignore the collector.
Right.
Yes, they are operating outside the realms of the law because they're collecting on debts that have already been satisfied. But we can't hold them truly accountable until we dispute the debt. If we don't dispute it, like I had said with the disputing the actions of the credit reporting agency, you must dispute the actions of the collectors as well. If you don't, then that debt that you really did know, now you've committed yourself to that debt because you didn't take the opportunity to dispute the debt. They give you that option in the information that they send out to you.
All right, good stuff. William Crowley, the credit magician, and we're going to offer a credit package for the first 3 listeners. All you have to do is text the word credit to our consumer advocate hotline. Just text credit to 813-670-7372 if you'd like to take him up on that offer, get the credit package from William Crowley, the credit magician. Text credit to 813-670-7372, and we're going to put you right in touch with William Crowley, the credit magician. William, thanks for calling in. We appreciate those nuggets of advice.
Thank you for having me on, buddy.
Hey, my pleasure. Have a good one.
Okay.
All right, that's William Crowley, a.k.a. the Credit Man. We got the credit package offer out there. We'll see you right on the other side of this break. We got Richard Alexander in the house, Esquire, Alexander Law. And we're going to talk some legal stuff. We're going to jump into some legal, this new texting law that just came out. What does it mean? How is it enforced? The Fourth Amendment. And we're going to talk about Miranda rights as well, right here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this short timeout.
Hey, I'm Ken Shamrock, and you're here with Consumer Quarterback Show. And I say, Brandon Rhymes, knock out your competition.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-670-7372. Online at consumerqb.com.
This is the Cannabis Podcast, powered by True Leaf on Radio Influence. It's an inside look and the scientific facts in and around the world of medical cannabis. Now, here is your host, Ian Beckles.
He's a successful entrepreneur, published author, top listing agent, a real estate and finance expert that goes to bat for you every day as a consumer advocate. Your host and the consumer quarterback, Brandon Rhymes. You're listening to the consumer quarterback, Brandon Rhymes, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. Online at consumerqb.com.
Welcome back. Brandon Rhymes here, Consumer Quarterback Show, powered by the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty. And this segment is brought to you by the Lucky Dill Restaurant. They've got a deli, a New York City bar. They got a Brooklyn bakery, catering, banquets, and more. And it's home of the sandwich that ate Brooklyn. Excellent food. Very friendly service staff, and they have just an awesome ambiance and environment in there. It's got that New York flavor to it, that New York style, TVs, lots of sports on. Just a great opportunity. Right here in Tampa, they're located at 4606 West Boy Scout Boulevard in Tampa. LuckyDillDeli.com is their web address. They also have a location on US 19 North in Palm Harbor, just north of Tampa Road right there. Great opportunity. Have some wonderful lunch, some food. Actually, breakfast as well is great. I've had the breakfast there as well. The Lucky Dill Deli and the Lucky Dill Restaurant, the official restaurant partner of the Consumer Quarterback Show. All right, back here in studio, we got attorney Richard Alexander in the house, Alexander Law. We're going to jump into some of these new laws. I love how you bring in these updates. Before we do, I just want to let you know about a hot property listing on the river in Tampa, 223 South River Hills. This is a great opportunity. If you love that waterfront living like I do, 223 South River Hills Drive, Temple Terrace, stunning 5-bedroom, 2.5 bath, single-family home on a conservation lot on the Hillsborough River, and it's almost a half an acre lot in the heart of Temple Terrace. Great real estate property. Perfect for the family that wants to live close to USF or close to the, the attractions in that area. Great opportunity to purchase real estate here in beautiful Tampa Bay. Check it out at PlatinumMVPTeam.com. Somewhere sunny and 75. All right, let's jump right into it. Attorney Richard Alexander in the house. I love the legal talk, the legal brain that, we bring in sometimes. And it's an opportunity for people to understand some of these new laws. I mean, really, where do you learn about these new laws other than, programs like this? You can read the paper, but the paper's not really going to explain it. But let's jump into the new texting law. This texting law just came out. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I just saw that, and Governor DeSantis is either going to sign it or has already signed it. But when I first read about it, I went, good luck enforcing that.
Right.
Because it's going to be a primary offense, which means law enforcement can pull you over just for that.
Wow.
So, good luck enforcing and testifying as to whether or not somebody was actually texting on the phone when you pull that person over for texting on the phone.
That's scary. Does it come down to an officer's testimonial versus a citizen, and who does the judge choose to side with, right?
Well, I think it's exactly going to come down to that. It's a lot different from a speeding ticket because law enforcement, they come in with their radar certification or the speedometer certification, and they can present that as evidence, so it's physical along with the oral testimony.
Right.
But, this is one of those situations that you can't seize the phone. You can't look through the phone because the U.S. Supreme Court has already spoken on getting a warrant to go through a phone. And I don't know how they're going to prove that. I really don't. I think it's going to have to come down to if it is testimony, who does the judge believe? Who does the judge think is more credible?
And sometimes, go ahead, sorry.
I mean, think about it. Why couldn't you say, well, Your Honor, I was on Google Maps at the time.
Yeah.
Or I was answering a phone call.
Yeah.
Or, any reason anybody can be on the phone. And I don't know if they're going to have some built-in exceptions to texting and driving, but the fact that it's a primary offense, I just don't know how law enforcement is going to enforce that, or even if they're going to.
It's kind of scary that you could get pulled over just because someone thinks that you're actually texting, because then, now I smell marijuana in the car.
You got it.
I see an open container that was from last week, or it leads to so many potential the unintended consequences.
Well, and that's exactly why, this has Fourth Amendment implications, not just because of getting into the cell phone, which we know they can't seize or go into, but the other problem is, what is this going to lead to? The slippery slope, if you will. Like you said, you pull over the car for a primary offense, and all of a sudden, hey, is that marijuana?
Yep.
now you got a problem.
So remind our listeners the Fourth Amendment. Which one is that?
Well, what the Fourth Amendment is part of the original Bill of Rights, which is the first 10 amendments. And the Fourth Amendment says, unreasonable. The most important thing is unreasonable searches and seizures.
Got it.
Now, I'm fortunate enough, I've been blessed where I teach constitutional law, and I tell my students, well, what can you assume from the phrase unreasonable searches and seizures? That the framers said, well, there's going to be some searches and seizures that are reasonable. And we're not going to spell those out right now. We're just saying that they're out there.
Yeah.
And, the U.S. Supreme Court has carved out many, and I mean many, exceptions to having a search warrant. And this began, roughly in the 50s and 60s. And, they went from being, more protective of people to started getting more law enforcement friendly. Where they just coming up.
What's an example of that?
Let me give you an example of one of my favorite stories.
Okay.
It's a great war story because I had a guy that was pulled over on the interstate, FHP.
Yep.
And, they pull him over. And FHP does this without a doubt. They always say, can I search the vehicle? On a routine traffic stop.
Wow.
And they want to get into the trunk.
Yeah.
And the guy says, my client says, yeah, go right ahead. And well, they pop open the trunk, and lo and behold, this guy's carrying about 10 kilos of marijuana.
No way.
I'm not kidding.
Why would he say go ahead?
Well, that's what I asked the client.
He was probably consuming his own product at the time.
I asked the client, why did you let FHP get into the trunk?
Yeah.
And he said, I thought he was bluffing.
Ooh.
And I said, he's not bluffing.
Yeah.
He knows consent is one of the exceptions to a warrant.
Yes.
So if you say go right ahead, that's exactly what he's going to do.
Wow.
So I couldn't even contest the seizure of the drugs because he consented to the search.
Wow.
And he admitted it. He wrote out a statement to it. And I went, I'm dead.
It's like education too, and I look at it almost like, like the rapper Jay-Z has that one song, my glove compartment's locked, so is the trunk in the back. I know my rights. You're going to need a warrant for that. So I think you see that how it comes over across culturally too, like they're educating their listeners through the rap music, in that case with the Jay-Z song.
Right. And, the thing is that the U.S. Supreme Court has just carved out so many exceptions. I mean, I'll give you another one. A dog hit. If a dog, hits on a car,
okay,
that's it. They're going to tear that car apart because the dog is now probable cause.
Okay.
And I once had a case when I was a prosecutor where we actually had the deputy come in with the canine unit, and, he testified as to the training, the experience of the dog, how many hits have they had before, what's his percentage of, hitting on cars. And, we had a motion to suppress because the dog hit on the accused. That was a prosecutor at the time. How do you define a hit?
What's the definition of a hit in this context?
The dog starts scratching or alerts the deputy that, hey, there's something, something here.
Okay.
Depending on what the dog's been trained to do, as opposed to cadaver dogs or, drug dogs or, fruit that's been tainted. Customs. They have custom dogs to smell out tainted fruit that shouldn't come in this country. Things like that. So it depends what the dog's been trained to hit.
Right. So we're talking with attorney Richard Alexander here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Interesting stuff here, Richard. Now, for our listeners out there, what type of law do you practice, and how would you be able to help our listeners?
Well, we do personal injury and criminal defense. Okay. Personal injury is, I think everybody knows, motor vehicle accidents, slip and falls. And criminal defense, of course, is someone's been accused of a crime. And I tell people all the time, I've chosen the two fields of law in which I don't normally see people at their best.
Yeah.
And but I love it, man, because a lot of times I get a chance to be part of justice, and there's no exception to that.
Yeah. Family law is another one that would be tough.
I don't know how lawyers do that. I mean, when I find out an attorney that practices family law, the first thing I say is, God bless you, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's stressful, not just for the client, but the way the attorneys deal with each other when it comes to family law, because it's almost like the attorney is going through it himself or herself.
Right.
And they get very personal, and they take it out on opposing counsel.
Yeah, they do.
And I don't want any part of that.
Yeah, it's tough, man, because you want to try to be empathetic as you can, but Man, yeah, that's high emotions. That's high stakes on the table when you're dealing with your family, your children. Kind of similar sometimes with real estate. You're selling somebody's asset, and the appraiser said this, and it's not worth that. It should be worth more. Very challenging. Some dynamics there as well. So stay with us right here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. More from attorney Richard Alexander on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Our feel-good story of the day is a good one as well. Shaquille O'Neal pays a forward childhood good deed. So Interesting story here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Follow us online at Brandon Rhymes 1 on Instagram and Twitter, and the Consumer Quarterback Show page out there on Facebook. We'll see you right after this short timeout.
Thanks for listening to my daddy's show. For more information, go to consumerqb.com.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-670-7372. Online at consumerqb.com.
This is the Cannabis Podcast, powered by Trulieve on Radio Influence. It's an inside look and the scientific facts in and around the world of medical cannabis. Now, here is your host, Ian Beckles.
He's a successful entrepreneur, published author, top listing agent, a real estate and finance expert that goes to bat for you every day as a consumer advocate. Your host and the consumer quarterback, Brandon Rhymes. You're listening to the Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes, online at consumerqb.com. Brandon is Tampa Bay's #1 consumer advocate for real estate and financial advice. Call Brandon today at 813-670-7372.
All right, welcome back. Thanks for sticking with us. Brandon Rhymes here, your host of the Consumer Quarterback Show, powered by the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty, helping you win in any marketplace. That's our #1 goal. On the buying side of real estate, we're going to help you make sure you're offering correctly based on comparable market analysis, based on the absorption rates and the trend in not only the county, but also the actual zip code and neighborhood. On the buy side, we're going to protect you there. On the selling side, we're going to, of course, make sure sure we price the property appropriately. We're also going to look at absorption rates and pricing, but it's more about exposure piece, the exposure of your real estate listing. How are you going to get maximum exposure to help you sell it faster for more money? And of course, we work with investors as well. We've got some great off-market opportunities, buying houses cash, lots of ways we can help you. Check out PlatinumMVPTeam.com. PlatinumMVPTeam.com. 1701 Mariner Way in Tarpon Springs, half an acre property lot, updated recently with some new sod, some landscaping. Great opportunity. On the inside, it's gorgeous, beautiful flooring and a light color granite in the kitchen with some beautiful black backsplash. Beautiful property here in Tarpon Springs area. Great real estate investment opportunity. 11556 110th. This is in Pinellas Park, Largo area. Great opportunity, again, for an investor. Solid block home, 11556 110th Terrace in Largo. It's right by the Pinellas Trail as well, one of Florida's most popular and unique urban pathways. Over 50 miles of biking, walking, and running trails. 3-bedroom, 2-bath property, PlatinumMVPTeam.com.
Somewhere sunny and 75.
And this segment is brought to you by the Bill Maher Beach Resort, the official hotel partner of the Consumer Quarterback Show. The beautiful Bill Maher Beach Resort on Gulf Boulevard, Treasure Island. Fantastic and generous amenities to make your vacation that much more special. Beautiful opportunity, great hotel right on the beach. And Clyde Smith, the general manager, calls it a 2-beer beach. It's one of the few beaches that you can have open container on the beach. Interesting topic, Richard, as well, right? You know, drinking on the beach. And then, you know, you got 2 beers, so he says it takes you 2 beers to walk because it's such a long beach. It's a beautiful hotel. 2 pools on site, Sloppy Joe's restaurant, just a great real estate property here in Tampa Bay. And go say hello to Clyde Smith, general manager, Bill Maher Beach Resort, the official hotel partner of the Consumer Quarterback Show, right here in beautiful Tampa Bay.
Sun is shining, the weather is sweet.
All right, so we're having a fun conversation about the law. You know, different changes to the law, the enforcement of the law, different amendments, the Bill of Rights. We got attorney Richard Alexander here in studio, and it's when you think about texting and driving or drinking and driving. Interesting studies out there. You've read some studies about the effects of texting versus drinking.
Yeah, I have, and I mean they're shocking to say the least because some of the studies I've read, their texting is worse than drunk driving. Because of the amount of time someone spends texting, and they don't realize that they're still traveling down the road at whatever rate of speed.
Yeah.
And, you know, their eyes are literally off the road for anywhere between, 5 and 10 seconds.
Wow.
And at the same time, they're also traveling at 40, 50, 60 miles an hour.
Yeah.
So they're covering a great deal of distance.
Yeah.
And the difference between that and DUIs is that what alcohol or marijuana does is going to slow down your reaction.
Yep.
But it won't necessarily take your eyes off the road.
Right.
And that's really the difference. You're going to react. It's just a slower time of reaction.
It might make you a little bit more, hey, I'm going to run that red light.
Correct.
I'm going to hit the accelerator coming around the corner and, mess around and get a little sideways.
Correct. I'll hit a curb, something like that, you know. But, the texting is you're literally in a 3,000-pound steel, machine going down the road, and you haven't looked up for approximately 5 to 10 seconds.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, man.
It's insane. Yeah.
Some people just can't do it. Some people are just straight, goofy and as it comes,
Right.
And they're trying to multitask, and they're just, they're the people that aren't the motor skills, and they're just, especially the young people. Reminds me too. We were talking about.
Let me just add one more thing, because what I think is going to happen is I think we're going to go to hands-free cell phone eventually. I just think it's inevitable. A lot of the states are doing it. I think Florida's going to get right behind them and eventually go where you can't even have a cell phone in your hand.
Yeah.
And you're either going to have it, through the intercom, the system in the car, or hands-free, like a little device on the dashboard.
That's what I got. I got a little clip thing. I just clip it right there, and I can at least see it and stuff coming.
I think we're going to go to that.
Wait till the red light. If you want to check a text, wait till you get to the red light. Wait till you get to if you stay off your email, you don't need to get on email that much either out there. But if we're talking with attorney Richard Alexander here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, texting and driving equals drunk, almost the same as drunk driving, and some may say worse. So hands-free cell phone, that's the point. And then I was making the point of also where you have the cameras in the dash of the car or on the front bumper of the car. I think more and more people are having those in-dash cameras for all types of protection, just so they know what actually happened.
From a practical measure, it's a great move. And typically when I see a lot of those videos on YouTube, some of them are really fascinating.
Yeah.
But almost always it's a country in Europe. Where either Germany or France or England, something like that, because I don't know if the insurance laws are different in that part of the world, but they typically have them on the front dash to protect themselves from, again, I'm not sure if it's different there, but it seems like a lot of the countries in Europe have that just as a matter of fact. People there just either, they're being sued unnecessarily or, maybe the crime rate. I don't know what it is, why the reason is, but is it a good idea? Absolutely.
Let me ask you a question. So I'm also a concealed permit holder for gun carry. And it was interesting. I just signed up with U.S. and Texas Law Shield because the moment you have to pull your trigger, you're put in that position. Now, what Thomas King from Florida Firearms Academy says is now you're committing a crime to stop a crime or to defend your family. So this U.S. and Texas Law Shield, I signed up for it. It's like $20 a month, and it gives you the ability to call an attorney 24/7, 365 if something were to happen like that.
That's part of the membership?
Yeah, wow. It's really cool. Like, it's literally $15 to $20, and it gives you that peace of mind. And there's multiple examples. I was going through their YouTube page, and there's multiple examples of, for example, a lady was they went out to a nice dinner or something. Her brother and her husband got into an argument, and they're big guys. They're outside fighting in the yard, going at it. She comes out, fires a warning shot into the ground. Of course, the sheriff deputy, they come and arrest her.
Right.
So she said, okay, well, so that was one example.
Improper discharge.
But there was multiple examples, and a lot of them, I was surprised, since we're on the topic of motor vehicles and driving, there was a lot of them with road rage incidents. So the guy gets out of the car, comes back, gets all up in the old man's face, and he's got the gun right here. There's multiple cases. So I guess, I would say, look up U.S. and Texas Law Shield if you're a concealed permit holder. That's one consumer advocate tip. But secondly, these cameras come to defense of the innocent person in many cases.
Yeah, there's no question they can be used as video evidence.
Yes.
I mean, from a practical matter, obviously, it's just a great move.
Yeah.
Because you're preserving evidence. And what juries love one thing more than anything else, they love video.
Video evidence.
And that's why they videotape, almost all DUI stops.
Yep.
Because you literally can show these 6, people sitting in the box as to what happened that night.
Yep.
And they love video evidence more than anything else, my experience. Yeah.
There was another example of a lady. It was a road rage incident. The lady came out, got up in this older senior citizen's face, and I think she may have showed the gun or pulled the gun, but didn't use the gun. And then the other person went and complained to law enforcement, claiming that she had fired her gun and didn't. So she flat out lied. The detective contacted her. She says, "No, I didn't. I will gladly surrender my gun for testing, so you can see I haven't shot that gun." And she said, "I haven't shot that gun in 12 to 18 weeks, and this event happened like 2 or 3 weeks ago." She said, "No, I'll gladly surrender my weapon. Please charge it. Let me know anytime." She said, like, the next week or the next day, she's walking out in her yard. And mind you, this lady's like 76 years old, gray hair, older lady. She's walking out in her yard. All of a sudden, she notices SWAT surrounding her house, comes up to her and says, "Ma'am, put your hands up. You're under arrest." And she thought it was a joke. She's like, "Is this a joke? What's going on?" And no, they came to arrest her. So that it's weird how these things happen in law enforcement. Sometimes they just make an assumption, and now they're going to arrest this 76-year-old lady who didn't do anything except defend herself. I don't remember if she brandished the weapon or not, but she didn't fire it. The other person lied and said she did, and then they just go and arrest her or go to detain her.
Yeah, that's obviously a bad situation because, now she's got to worry about bonds. She's going to be in jail. She's going to have to hire a lawyer. And,
That's right.
It's a problem, man.
That's why I signed up for that U.S. and Texas Law Shield. You never know when you're going to need something like that.
Look, I have friends that are law enforcement officer, retired law enforcement, retired military, and the people I meet, they're just good people. Mm-hmm. I think that maybe the pressure for some law enforcement agencies, particularly on DUI cases, is so big to bear that that's how mistakes are made. But I've just had great experiences with the police officers I've met, both as a prosecutor and as a defense attorney.
Oh yeah.
But it's
there's a lot of great ones and there's a few bad apples, and you see that on
like
these,
in any
these
profession.
YouTube. Exactly, you see it on these YouTube videos, the problems, and then you find out the behind the story, like of what
Correct.
actually happened before the video camera was turned on.
Correct.
I definitely support law enforcement. My cousin's actually a sheriff of Hendry County down in South Florida, but in certain situations, when you pull a gun and you are defending yourself, now all of a sudden you're the bad guy and they're going to make assumptions. You're going to go to jail, like you said, and you're going to get bonded. You're going to have, you got all these expenses. So again, that's why I signed up with the U.S. Tax System Law Shield. But more from attorney Richard Alexander when we come back. We're going to jump into our lightning round, top tips, nuggets of advice from attorney Richard Alexander here, personal injury attorney, criminal defense attorney right here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, as well as our feel-good story of the day about Shaquille O'Neal helping out a childhood good deed, repaying a good deed, right here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com.
This is Work Done, and you're listening to the Real Estate Quarterback Show hosted by my man, Brandon Rhymes.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-670-7372. Online at consumerqb.com. Ian Beck.
This is the Cannabis Podcast, powered by Trulieve on Radio Influence. It's an inside look and the scientific facts in and around the world of medical cannabis. Now, here is your host, Ian Beckles.
He's a successful entrepreneur, published author, top listing agent, a real estate and finance expert that goes to bat for you every day as a consumer advocate. Your host and the consumer quarterback, Brandon Rhymes. Listening to the consumer quarterback, Brandon Rhymes, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. Online at consumerqb.com.
All right, welcome back. Thanks for sticking with us. Brandon Rhymes here, your host of the Consumer Quarterback Show, owner of the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty. We are hiring agents right now, setting records, looking for agents to help us with our growth. If you know of anybody looking to future-proof their real estate business, we'd love to talk to them. Have them reach out on our hotline, 813-670-7372, our Consumer Advocate hotline, 813-670-7372. And every day we're going to tell you something positive here in our feel-good segment of the day.
Tell me something good.
All right, so Shaquille O'Neal pays a forward childhood good deed. So Shaquille O'Neal has just made a new fan for life, and a teenager who has been struggling to find shoes that fit his feet. So Zach Keith, maybe only 13 years old, but the young basketball player is already size 18 feet. His mother has been unable to find extra large sneakers for her son, but luckily O'Neal heard about the family's dilemma and was inspired to help. Since O'Neal famously wears size 23, he could empathize with Zach's struggle for fitted footwear. The retired NBA legend faced the same predicament when he was just 18 years old, college student searching for size 18 penny loafers to wear to high school prom. So Bruce Taliber, who is one of the owners of the Friedman Shoes in Atlanta, Georgia, gave O'Neal a free pair of shoes for prom, and O'Neal has been shopping at the shoe store ever since. O'Neal has never forgotten that act of kindness from his childhood, so he, as a means of paying it forward, he invited Zach and his mother to Friedman Shoes and bought the teenager 10 pair of different shoes. I thought this was a good thing to do, O'Neal told CBS. Kid plays basketball, and Bruce did it for me. I just want to return the favor. The Shaq. Old Shaq, man, he's still having some fun on TV every now and then. You see him on some of those, what's he on, TBS or something like that? He's on one of the TNT basketball. You see him doing that.
Yeah, he always gets into arguments with Charles Barkley.
With Barkley, yeah. Him and Barkley go at it from time to time. Pretty funny. But, yep, the Shaqster paying it forward there. All right, let's jump into our lightning round here.
The lightning round!
I am so good at lightning rounds!
I majored in lightning rounds.
All right, top tips, nuggets of advice, parting words of wisdom. Attorney Richard Alexander.
Well, I'm just going to bootstrap on what William Crowley spoke about earlier, and he talked a lot about knowledge, and knowledge is power. And I always say that. I have it on my website. And I tell clients all the time, listen, don't be a victim. Don't allow yourself to be a victim. And all you got to do is reach out, send that text, make that phone call. But, if you're going to sit back and just say, well, I'm going to let the system work me over, it will. It will gladly do that.
That's
and
right.
it'll do it repeatedly. Yep. So, yeah, just reach out, man. Knowledge is power.
Don't be a victim. Take control of your future and have the initiative. I think, I was in a panel. I was in a panel yesterday. They were hosting a panel at our Keller Williams office in Clearwater, Palm Harbor, which has 485 agents or so. So we were on a panel where it was to team or not to team. So as a real estate agent, you can be a single agent or you can join a team, right? If you want to have that team atmosphere, that ability to grow, the resources that come with the team, and especially with our team, with the radio and TV show model, we're very different in that sense. So I was on a panel and we were talking about different strategies for people and why you might want to join a team. There were 3 different teams up there represented, but that was one of my major advice to the real estate agents that were in the room. I said, it really comes down to Pareto principle, the 80-20 rule. What can you do? What can you, first of all, the power of focus. If you can focus on those 20% of key tasks on a daily basis that are going to contribute to your success, and it really is. There's, if you write down 10 or 15 things that you do, there's probably the top 2 or 3 that actually move the needle to success more than others. So that's what I always say is just focus on that key 20% of those tasks that's going to move you toward your goal.
Well, that's powerful stuff, man.
Yeah.
It really is, because you're talking about the little things, doing the little things, right, and doing them often.
Yep, absolutely. So with the law, let's go back to law. Did we cover everything? We want to talk about Miranda rights too?
That's a little bit more, a little bit lengthy. We could probably spend 5 minutes on it if you want to talk about it.
Yeah.
Mostly because I get a lot of clients, when I do the criminal defense side of it, that they think the fact that someone has a read Miranda means the case is going to get dismissed.
Okay.
And I'm not telling you, this is across the board. People are just 100% convinced that they didn't read me my Miranda warnings, so you should get the case dismissed. Yeah, it doesn't work that way.
That's a TV
That's
episode.
Hollywood. Yeah, it's Hollywood. And the thing about Miranda is, first of all, it's not in the Constitution. Okay, so this is really a case that came out of one of the most famous, if maybe not the most famous, U.S. Supreme Court case ever, which is Miranda versus Arizona.
Okay.
And basically, the bottom line of that case is Ernesto Miranda. The case is named after. Wasn't a nice guy. He abducted and raped this female, and he was arrested in Arizona, and they questioned him for hours and hours and hours, and finally they got a signed confession from him. That's basically what the law is. What that case is. Yeah. And the U.S. Supreme Court got a hold of it and said, listen, if you're going to do that to somebody, you're going to have to let them know what's at stake. Yeah. What they're jeopardizing. And if you're going to do that, we're going to have you read these warnings. Yeah. Unfortunately, they named it after a guy that's not very nice. Yeah. Okay. I mean, he was a despicable person.
Yeah, he sounds like it.
But yeah, he was. I mean, even after that, he still wound up back in jail.
Wow.
And they said, listen, you just got to tell them that what they're about to say or do is going to be held against them in the future. Yeah. You need to also let them know that they have a right to an attorney, and they can stop questioning whenever they want. So. And the difference of Miranda is that there's two prongs to any Miranda case. Okay. And this is what I tell clients all the time is I said, listen, they don't have to read your Miranda. They don't have to question you. They don't have to ask you anything about, what just transpired. If they do, however, then they have to read Miranda and, talk to you about it. But number one, if you're not in custody, they don't have to read your Miranda warnings. If you're in custody and they don't ask you any questions, they don't have to read your Miranda warnings. It's a two-pronged test. You have to be in custody, and law enforcement has to start asking you all these questions. If you don't have both of those present, they don't have to read your Miranda.
You know, it reminds me of the whole, you have the right to remain silent. You have the right to an attorney. It reminds me of the 80s when they had that, when Crockett and Tubbs and Miami Vice. Miami Vice, That was like part of their intro music to the show, wasn't it? Right. I think it was some kind of a part of that intro to the show. But we're talking with attorney Richard Alexander here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. If you've been pulled over, if you've got a criminal defense act, or maybe someone you know or love, if you've got a personal injury case, slip and fall, auto accidents, what else would you be looking for out there, Richard? How can you help people?
Actually, I can help people by just calling me. Yeah. I think I talk a lot about this preventive law. You know what preventive medicine is? Yeah. You go see the doctor so you don't have to see the doctor. Yeah. I do the same thing with law. You talk to the lawyer so you don't have to go talk to the lawyer in the future. Yeah. So I think, like I said, knowledge is power. I think it's an honor and a privilege that I'm able to practice law because I have to get a law license. Yeah. And I went through an amazing background scrutiny just to even qualify to get a law license in Florida. Right. So it's just an honor and a privilege. And listen, just call. Just reach out.
Yeah. Reach out to our hotline, our consumer advocate hotline, and we'll put you right in touch with attorney Richard Alexander here. And there's some interesting cases going on, too, now with the National Association of Realtors. The top 20 real estate companies are being sued by this group out of Chicago. I should get an update on that. I've talked about it a couple times on the show. I don't know what the update is. I haven't seen it. But they're basically suing the whole process. They're saying, hey, this isn't the whole way that the real estate business is run, where the seller has to pay the buyer agent's commission and the listing agent's commission.
Right, that's my understanding. Yeah.
They're putting that whole system on trial. Have you followed that at all or heard of it?
No. Wow. I was going to say that will literally put the real estate game on its head.
Scary. Yeah, and when you look at Keller Williams, Remax, a lot of the other companies, they're like, they're not giving much credence to it. They're holding back their opinion. But my opinion would be, hey, you look at it, they're selling the asset, they've got the equity in the home, otherwise they wouldn't offer a buyer side commission. And we've invented this multiple listing service. When you put the property on the multiple listing service, that property is going to go out to all the websites. Everybody's going to see it. So in essence, the way that we fund the whole real estate business is you offer a real estate commission to both a listing agent who's going to do marketing and negotiations and contracts and legal, and then the buyer agent who works hard too. They're going to drive these clients around, show them all these properties, help them structure the offers, look at the comparables, and everything else that a buyer agent does. So it's interesting. It'll be interesting to see where that goes. But the firm that's bringing that case has successfully won against, I think it was like Volkswagen or Audi. Some pretty big cases in terms of a class action type suit.
Well, just listening to you talk about this is that if there's one thing courts hate to do and they won't do it, they do not get into the minds of private contracts. They don't want to get into what were you thinking when you entered into the contract and what were you thinking when you entered into the contract. Corporations completely different.
Yeah.
Because they'll give the benefit of the doubt to the consumer.
Good.
But in cases of private party contracts, courts absolutely refuse to get involved in those.
Yeah.
Because they want that benefit of the bargain, the meeting of the minds to take place.
Yes.
And they don't want to second guess anybody when they sign the contract. Now, I'm talking outside of fraud, obviously, and misrepresentation, things like that. But courts just hate doing that.
Always a pleasure. Richard Alexander, attorney Richard Alexander, Alexander Law, right here, a top attorney in the Tampa Bay area. Reach out to him. Personal injury law, criminal defense, and of course, he's also an educator as well. He takes great pride in being an educator. So, hey, another great show. We want you to please go out there, consider committing a random act of kindness, and we'll see you next time right here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Follow us online at Brandon Rhymes1 on Instagram and Twitter, Consumer Quarterback Show pages on Facebook, and hit me up on LinkedIn as well. We'll see you next time.
You've been listening to the Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes. Whether it's real estate, consumer, or financial advice, let Brandon call your next play. Contact Brandon Rhymes at 813-670-7372. That's 813-670-7372. Online at consumerqb.com. And join us next time for the Consumer Quarterback Show, weekday afternoons at 5 on AM 1380. The Biz.
Are you a real estate agent looking to take your business to the next level and supercharge your marketing? Hi, I'm Brandon Rhymes, owner of Platinum MVP Realty and host of the Real Estate Quarterback Show, syndicated radio and TV show talk program on iHeartRadio, 1025 The Bone, daily 5 o'clock drive time on 1380 The Biz, and our TV show is on WeBeam TV. We're looking for real estate agents that want to join our team and supercharge their marketing utilizing some of our innovative strategies. We utilize the Real Geeks platform, Facebook marketing, internet marketing, and a lot of the traditional methods as well. Postcard mailers mailed for you, postage, signage, business cards, all paid for by the company. Aggressive real estate splits and ways to help you win in any marketplace. We need you to go out, take applications, and work our plethora of leads that we're generating on a daily basis. Reach out by clicking the form below, and we'd love to have a confidential interview with you.